the host, and the environment. Yung tatlo, you call it epidemiological triad. And yung epidemiological triad will determine how you are doing your health education, health promotion, advocacy. Yun yung sinasabi ko that by January, until we finish all the diseases of public health importance, you are going to look into a health promotion activity that you are going to promote. And because of that, one of the first year, I think they're already intern now, past the, called it, the Department of Labor, I think, on tuberculosis, they are still using the health promotion activity that they prepared. But before that, Merry Christmas. And may pasok pa ba tayo next week? Wala na, no? Christmas break na ba?
Yes, Doc.
Yes po, Doc.
Wow. O sige, i-text nyo ako ng mga Christmas, i-message nyo ako ng inyong mga Christmas wish so I can pray for you. I am your Mommy Santa, pero I cannot provide. I can pray. Okay? So, the process of infection is very, very important kasi when you begin to educate the patient, di ba, the education is in all levels of prevention, primary, secondary, and tertiary. So, in that aspect, if you do not know the process of infection, although second year you're going to study, first year you're all normal, di ba? But on second year, you will have pathology and diagnosis. So, this is not for the diagnosis. So, medyo parang micro-para yung public health also. If you are good in micro-para, you will also good in public health. Okay. So, when we say pathogenesis, this is a period between the host and the agent interaction. So, either the host will overcome the agent or the agent will overcome the host. For example, why is it that in COVID-19, 98% are mild and asymptomatic? So meaning mostly the agent overcomes the host. The host overcomes the agent. But what if it is Ebola? No? It is so infectious that one case or even rabies, no, with 100% case fatality rate, the agent always overcome the host if and only if, depending on the nature of the host or the nature of the agent. And in the fulcrum is the the environment. No? So in the case of infection, there are requirements for the successful invasion of the host by an infectious agent. So mostly before, public health studies about mostly infectious. But now we have infectious, non-infectious, and the other one is, as I have mentioned, what you call this, road traffic injury and mental health. In mental health, that includes substance abuse disorder, okay, and neurological and other mental health problems. So there are 6 requirements. So there, in order for an infection to invade the host, there are requirements. Okay, conditions in the environment must be favorable to the agent, or the agent must be able to adapt to the environment. Second is, there must be a suitable reservoir. No? A suitable reservoir must be there. Is it human or is it the environment is the reservoir? Or there must be a host. A susceptible host must be present. Without the host, even though there are illnesses with secondary hosts, there must be a host. Okay? So host, agent, and the environment. And in between that is the reservoir, the portal of entry, and the portal of exit. And of course, the mode of transmission. Okay? Third is, conditions of the environment, reservoir, host. Okay. Next is satisfactory portal of entry. 6 yan, satisfactory portal of entry, accessible portal of exit from the host, and appropriate means of dissemination or transmission to a new host. So, look at it as a chain. is a chain of infection. That's the same as chain of infection. The host, the agent, the environment, reservoir, mode of transmission, portal of entry, and portal of exit. So, alin doon yung inyong i-avoid? Do you want to, okay, so that just take a look of COVID-19, ha? The COVID-19 is a virus. The agent is a virus. The host is human. Okay, the environment, ayaw niya ng so if it's a cold environment, it's suitable. The mode of transmission is respiratory droplets, and the portal of exits can either be in the gut or in the respiratory, like mouth, nose, or or throat. No? So, ganun palagi yung titignan nyo. So that, if I give an antibiotics, am I addressing the host or am I addressing the agent? Okay. So, knowledge of the infectious disease process or its components will offer clues for opportunities at which you can direct or focus your preventive or control measures. Prevention is different from control. Okay. So, which one are you going to prevent? Which one you are going to control? Okay. Second is knowledge of the infectious agent or its mode of transmission may point to application of specific treatment to which the agent is sensitive or to adoption of methods directed at its transmission to a susceptible host. If you know that the infection agent is viral is self-limiting. Pag bacterial, then you can give antibiotics, although there are some antiviral right now for HIV, no? Or if it's fungal, then we have antifungal. Okay? If you know the mode of transmission, you will know how to protect. Okay? And if you know the process also, for example, if it's continuous, right now we are still continuous with the COVID-19, what will be the control measures? Okay? So yung apat, the bida. Okay? For example, in the exam, which of the following measures are directed? Okay? If we give antibiotic treatment, either you direct it to the agent to kill it or to the source of reservoir of infection to cure or to make it less infectious. For example, there are those who are, there are some prophylactic agent that you place in the, for example, yung larvicides, di ba? Para mamatay yung mga lamok. Okay. Kiti-kiti pala. Another is, if you do a malaria prophylaxis, you direct it to the host. Okay. Proper excreta disposal, you direct it to agent or to the mode of transmission. And of course, health education is to the host. Hold on, sandali lang. So, the host-agent relationship is reflected in the disease process itself. The signs and symptoms will vary according to that such relationship. Okay. What are the factors that you're going to consider? The characteristics and dosage of the agent. So it is the higher the dosage, of course, the higher it can kill, no? Or it can affect the host. Characteristics, like if it's Mycobacterium, no, it's a very, very minute but very, very infectious. Okay. And of course, duration of exposure of the host to it. The longer that's why, how come you said, okay, how come not everybody develop COVID-19? Because some of them are not exposed. It should be a face-to-face, more than 15 minutes, or at least more than 50 minutes na face-to-face without proper PPE, or more than 1 meter in an enclosed place. Okay. Another is reaction of the tissues of the host to the introduction of the agent. Okay. And of course, portal of entry and tissues affected. So which one is more dangerous? Respiratory or skin?
Respido.
Yes. So meaning if respiratory droplets, it's more infectious than the skin. Okay. Unless it is poison. So when the host is infected, it will mobilize defenses. That's why we have the T cells, the B cell, no? And it's innate with our body, no? For example, you introduce some agents, then pag masyadong mabango, no? For example, masyadong mabango, anong nangyayari? 'Di ba? Humahatching tayo. So, sneezing is a defense, okay? So, if the host is infected, definitely, we mobilize our defenses. Kaya nga, pag nilalagnat tayo, di ba, nag-chill tayo. It's a defense actually. Okay? So, when agent enters, no, what we'll do is they multiply to overcome the host resistance. So, parang, if you imagine a seesaw, nandun yung fulcrum yung environment, nagaganyan na sila. Agent versus the host versus the agent. Kaya yung iba, they are mild infection, others naman are severely affected. Okay. So, what are the 4 different reactions? First is, the host will successfully wards off the pathogen. Ano lang yun, 1 day lang po ako nilagnat, doktora. Okay? Because of either natural resistance, acquired immunity, state of good health, or by virtue of weak agent or smaller dosage. Or sabi na, this is a different strain, or probably this virus had already mutated. So those are the things that you are going to consider. Or mismo kayo, no? That's why, ano sinasabi natin, you have to drink vitamin C, you have to drink vitamin with zinc so that you are going to, or even the acquired immunity. You're being exposed until you acquired immunity to the virus. Okay. Second is balance equilibrium of the forces of the agent versus the forces of the host are equal so that both are not affected. And this is, the example of this is in a parent of infection or healthy carrier. Please remember this slide, no? One of these are hepatitis B. No, you do not know there is a carrier already, or Salmonella typhi, there's also a carrier. So they are, for example, even HIV, di ba? They are so healthy, they do not know that can already a carrier. So they transmit it through unprotected sex, and then blood transfusion. So this we call it balance equilibrium. The third is subclinical conditions. These are reactions are very mild that they escape detection, can also result in a carrier state. Marami yan, subclinical conditions. They already have the virus and they are not exhibiting signs and symptoms. It can also result in a carrier state. And then number 4, full-blown clinical cases, either typical or atypical recovery or death. Okay? So, for example, dengue. Okay? What is the agent? Aedes aegypti. No? So, the mosquito is Aedes aegypti. So, pag kumagat yung lamok, hindi ka pa magkaka-fever. Until it goes to your system, it becomes full-blown, no? And then you have signs and symptoms. You have PTK, signs of bleeding, and then you are, what else? Signs of shock. Either you recover or you die. So all of the infections go through the process of recovery or death, or typical or atypical cases. Questions so far?
None.
None so far, Doc.
Okay. Now, stop, bakit 84 lang tayo? Doktora, where are they? Ha? Sinabihan mo ba sila?
Yes, Doc.
Who are the
Fine.
medtech? Please submit the up to 4:30 ha. You note the present up to 4:30.
Okay po, Doc.
Who are the medtechs here? Who are the medtechs? Pusuan nga ang mga medtech dito. Wala bang medtech? Di ba may medtech? BS Medical Laboratory Science. Okay, we have Rachel. Who else? Doctor. Estigo is a medtech. Hindi ko dala yung notebook nyo. Nandun yung notebook nyo. Dalawa lang. Isa lang? Dalawa lang medtech sa 85, 84 people here. Okay. Okay, Dr. Angge. So, the role of the laboratory is very crucial, no? In the control of communicable diseases. Okay. So, data generated by a laboratory can assist us, clinicians, or even public health workers, researchers in confirming or rejecting a diagnosis. Although laboratory alone, no, it should always be you have to correlate it clinically. No? They will confirm or reject a diagnosis, or it will provide guidance in the management and follow-up of patients. So up to now, dengue is still probable dengue, and confirmatory is you have to bring it to Manila. No? So laboratory can help in the control of infectious agent through proper isolation and identification, either by microscopic examination, cultivation, biochemical test, animal inoculation, or serological test. Siguro lahat naman kayo nag-go through hepatitis B surface antigen test, right? So, it's a serological test. Okay, good. So, in microscopic examination, the most commonly used is a light field microscopy. Okay? But in a dark field microscopy, you can readily visualize motile organisms such as Vibrio cholera, Treponema pallidum, and Leptospira species. No? I don't know if there are still dark field microscopy in your time of your internship, yung mga medtech. Okay. Another is cultivation. It's the propagation of organisms to facilitate identification, such as there are organisms that require free iron, there are organisms that increase salt concentration or increase carbon dioxide tension, or that require living cells for growth. Although this is just, but we will not deal with it specifically, but these are just to introduction of how these diseases of public health importance are, some of them should be cultivated, no? Culture. Another also is a biochemical test. This biochemical test prove production of toxins and elaboration of enzymes by the organism. So medyo alam to ng mga medtech, pero hindi ko to ibibigay sa exam. What is this? Like, what we only need is TSI, no, triple sugar iron, and imbic reactions in order to, in order to differentiate enterics. So Escherichia coli, Salmonella typhi, Shigella dysentery, and Proteus vulgaris. Alam ko ang Proteus na pag alam mo na greenish na, no? Proteus vulgaris with the smell. Okay. Another is animal inoculation. So, lab animals are used in determining toxigenicity of Corynebacterium diphtheriae or the virulence of Mycobacterium. Although now we're using the gene expert. Okay. Not all organisms grow in artificial media, but will grow when inoculated into animals like Mycobacterium leprae, which will grow in mouse foot pads, and Treponema pallidum, which will grow in rabbit testicles. Okay, yan lang yung tatandaan nyo. No? Na what is this organism that grows in rabbit's testicle? It's the Treponema pallidum. Okay. Another is serological test. Marami na tayong gino through na serological test. These are assays which can detect immune response to antigenic stimulation like infection. Many of these assays detect antibody production in the serum of infected individual. So, hepatitis B has both an antigen and antibody. Meaning, if you are positive with HBs antigen, surface antigen, it detects that you have infected with hepatitis B, but you do not know if it is active or it is already a remnant. So there are many serological tests like ASOT for strep pyogenes infection, COPT for schistosomiasis, without test for Salmonella typhoid that cause typhoid fever, or the Wilvelix test on rickettsial infection. The problem in the detection of antibody is the window period. Infected but antibodies are not yet detectable at the time of the examination. So, eto ngayon yung yung sa dengue, because of science and technology, marami na tayong mga ngayon. So, antigen antibody test no for dengue. And detection of antibody is not a considered specific test but just an indication of infection. Even the nCoV SARS-2, the RT-PCR for COVID-19, although sabi nila specific for COVID, pero at times I do not know, yun lang kasi available ngayon, the RT-PCR, no? So the polymerase chain reaction is specific for COVID-19. But even there are some common colds that is also produced by coronavirus. Okay? So that's why it is very important right now we are having an outbreak or we are having an epidemic. So in the study of outbreaks, the major concern is to determine the nature of the disease and the mode of its propagation. Ano ba tong novel na to, di ba? It was called nCoV, novel coronavirus. Okay? Before the AH1N1 is also a novel flu. So ano ang nature talaga nitong COVID-19 na ito? And how it is being transmitted and how it propagates. Okay? Yun yung malaking katanungan even at this point of time. So, you have to, in the investigation of outbreaks, you have to define, these are very important definition in public health. When do you say it's endemic? If the disease or infectious agent is within a geographic area. Anong diseases endemic ang Leyte? Hello? Schistosomiasis. So meaning, Leyte is endemic with schistosomiasis. Okay. Pag sinabi namang hyperendemic, if the disease is constantly present at a high level of incidence. Wala pa naman tayo nito dito. But when say holoendemic, if there is a high level of infection beginning early in life and affecting most of the population. Hindi na nga tayo holo, pandemic na. Ano kaya ito? Pandemic or plandemic? It's for you to decide. Okay. Another is epidemic. Okay. When we say epidemic, this is the word in blue. Always it is excess of normal expectancy. Epidemic is the occurrence in an area of cases of illness, specific health behavior, or other health-related events clearly in excess of normal expectancy. Diabetes, although it is non-communicable, it is already on epidemic proportion. Obesity is already in excess of normal expectancy. This COVID-19, no? We have epidemic, it's pandemic, no? It is an excess of normal expectancy. So sabi mo, that's why, ano ba yung mga number? That's why it's very important. We should know the attack rate and all these measurements so that you will know an attack rate of more than 1 means something. Okay? An attack rate of a case fatality rate of 100% is something. Something like that. Okay. So, the approach to investigation or even the giving of health promotion or advocacy, you have to study in depth, the study case in detail or thoroughly, just like when you want to have a vaccine for Ebola, no? Or you study in breadth. So study as many cases as you can, sacrificing the more refined details in investigation. Then they found out right now that the COVID-19 virus is affecting, why is it that most death occurs among the CKD patients? Then they found out in a breadth of study, there is an enzyme, no, an enzyme that that potentiate the action of the virus and affect the kidney. So some of those with diabetics and those with hypertension had acute kidney injury by the time of their confinement for those who were admitted with COVID-19. So, excuse me. So if you're going to just Google it, for example, COVID-19 and chronic kidney disease, you will be surprised, no? You'll be surprised na, oh, why is it that they predispose to COVID-19 or they die? Most of the deaths die among those chronic kidney disease or dialysis patient. Or how come those with, I think, is it beta thalassemia, are not are not developing dengue, or it has antibody against dengue, something like that. So the epidemiologists or the public health worker are beginning, because epidemiology is one aspect of public health. Epidemiology, public health administration, health promotion, disease prevention and control. What else? Disaster risk reduction management for health, and yun na, yung mga DOH programs. So, ganun yung tinitignan nila. Studying, for example, why is it that in Kawasaki disease, the age predilection is among 1 to 4 years old? So, that's why tinitignan nyo na ngayon, because epidemiology is now the study of people and diseases, no? And kung saan, bakit pag taglamig, sasabihin ng mga nanay natin, taglamig na naman, di ba? O magkakaroon kayo ng sipon. Bakit ganon? So, it has something to do with epidemiology. Noon, hindi lang natin na-explain fully during that time. Okay? So, there are 5 general steps in the investigation of an epidemic. Very, very important, step 1 is you verify the diagnosis of the reported cases. Meron ba? When I was with the Department of Health, natawagan kami. Kasi lahat ng I think it was Haro, lahat ng mga manok doon namatay. No? Namatay yung mga manok, tapos merong isang nagkasakit na bata. So then we have to go there, verify, tignan natin, is it a case of, what case is this? So hanap ko kami, ano-ano yung mga, is this SARS? Is this, ano-anong mga sakit na pwedeng makukuha sa manok? Something like that, no? You have to verify everything, kahit na sa inyong lab life, you have to verify, no? Halimbawa, nag-away kayo ng iyong labi-dabi, you have to verify. Kasi sinabi, eto, naka-receive ako ng text na ikaw daw nakita ka sa ano to? 2K, ano ba to? Kitchen 2K, nakita ka, may kasama kang ano. Hindi naman niya alam na meron ka palang pinsang napakaganda. So, inano niya na yan. She already confirmed na meron kang girlaloo. Okay. But the problem is, they did not confirm the diagnosis. Okay. Dr. Balicano, tumiis tayo, naging 96, ano? Okay. 96.
Yes, good.
Ano, umabot sila ng 4:30? Okay. So, you have to...
94 lang, Doc.
Okay. Ano pa naman ako, nag-blazer pa naman ako para sa inyo. Wow. So, you have to verify the diagnosis of the reported cases. Second is compare the present occurrence with the usual occurrence as to time, place, and person to verify the existence of an epidemic. Okay? So, that case naman tayo, naman kasi December na naman, no? Nag-i-increase yung cases natin. So, who are the most affected? At what point in time? Kaya meron tayong tinatawag na epidemic curve. Okay? Another, yung epidemic curve, nakikita mo, kaya ang pag-report ng diseases, it's always morbidity week 1. Tayo, I think we are already on morbidity week 62, I think. Morbidity, 52 weeks na taon. Ilang bang weeks sa isang taon? Ilang weeks sa isang taon? Malapit na tayong matapos eh. So, morbidity week 1, morbidity week 2, ganyan. So, sabi nila, as to time, place, and person to verify the existence of an epidemic. Okay? Step 2, you have to appraise of existing information. Hindi ka lang basta tanggap na information. The investigator must get detailed of agent, the host, and environmental data on each case. Ano ba? Mostly affected, male to female. Or anong oras sila nagkakaroon ng fever? That's the same thing with malaria. Okay? If, for example, you went to Palawan, and all of the students of maximum 2024 went to Palawan, 50 of them, but only about 30 had fever. 3 days prior, 3 days from the arrival, from arrival to Puerto Princesa, to Palawan, not Puerto Princesa, walang masyadong doon, malaria, sa isang, halimbawa, munisipyo of a malaria-infested area. So, now, the kind of fever is, bakit ganun? These are all virgin cases, and most of the one that was affected are female. No? Wow, walang lalaking nagkaroon ng malaria. Then, they're going to investigate. How come more female? Kasi, etong mga female, nagpaka-short, something like that. Okay? And then, another is you search for other cases and processing of collected data. Right now, nakikita talaga namin, tinitignan namin ngayon, is yung mga vulnerable. So, meaning, if that is the cause, imagine, to have one COVID-19 positive that is mild symptomatic, we have to place in a hotel or in kasi pag may comorbidity, we place them in a hotel. And we are spending about 1,150, sabihin namang 1,200 just for the board and lodging. Every day, wala pa yung staff, wala pa yung ibang doon. So meaning, the reason why we need to investigate an epidemic, we have to also make use of the resources available. Okay? So that is part of appraisal of existing information. Number 3, then you are going to formulate a hypothesis. A hypothesis is a tentative theory explaining the occurrence of an event. For example, in an epidemiological investigation, it is usually a theory on the source and spread of the disease. That's why now they're saying, it's not an airborne, it's a respiratory droplets. That's why we have to wear masks to protect ourselves and to protect ourselves from those who are talking. We have to wear face shield. We have to keep distance 1 meter because it is respiratory droplets. Ngayon, they don't encourage the use of electric fan because it can be possible that it can be airborne. Right now, they are still saying it's respiratory droplets. And how come the most cases that are affected are per family, meaning it is within the proximity and social gathering who are not practicing the basic health protocol. Step 3. Okay. What type of epidemic are we dealing in terms of kind of exposure or transmission? Is it a common source outbreak, the single exposure or multiple exposure? Transmission is by vehicle of infection. Katulad ng mga food poisoning, no? Halimbawa, umattend ng birthday. Kaya, a common source outbreak, that's basically the reason, although hindi pre-COVID ito, hindi pumapayag ang Jollibee, I don't know with McDonald's, for a take out ng spaghetti. Why? Any idea? I'll stop share first. Why?
Ang Jollibee, Doc?
Yeah.
Kuhan niya.
Hindi
Pwede
sila
kayo
nagpapaano ng Dr. Bergame. Hindi sila nagpapa-take out ng spaghetti. Teres pwede.
kay vector, I think considered here nga vector and spaghetti.
Is it the spaghetti vector?
Mabilis mapanis, Doc, if
Yes.
not
Dahil mabilis
properly.
mapanis, what is the most common agent?
Tomato sauce.
Yeah, in the tomato. Sometimes it's very most common either Shigella, magkakaroon ng Shigella, shigellosis, no? Nagkakaroon or even Clostridium. Okay, yung sa mga ano to? Ano to pag fried rice, no? Yung fried rice, pwede kang magkaroon ng Clostridium difficile. So most of this pag may vehicle kaya it's a common source of transmission. Saan ba 'to? Sa Laguna ba 'yon na meron siya na food poison sila dahil uminom ng alak? They drink a tuba that is ano nangyari do'n? Basta it's a tuba parang gano'n 'yon. There's a common you can identify what caused the disease, no? Another is am I dealing with a propagated person-to-person spread just like that of COVID-19? Transmission is by contact. If you don't have contact to that, that's why pag hindi ka lumalabas, kaya usually when we interview, nagsisinungaling muna no? Yung nag-positive. And then after that, we will know that there is really a contact with someone who is positive with COVID-19. That's why they will identify now who are the close contacts. Is it a general contact or close contacts? What they're going to do? Okay, close contacts. Do you have face-to-face? Or did you take care of someone with COVID positive? Or 15 minutes? Or you are there that's why walang face-to-face. Kaya walang face-to-face learning. Are you there in a place wherein you stayed for 2 hours? At least 1 hour. 2 hours pala. 1 meter. You are not 1 meter apart. So most likely, it's a propagated form of transmission of epidemic. Okay. Step 3. And then step 4 now is you test the hypothesis. Even as investigation is conducted, further to test the hypothesis, control measures should already be planned and implemented. Hindi pa tayo tapos dito sa COVID na to. Kaya ngayon minsan dati ang pangalan niya nCoV, ngayon COVID-19 na. Through the months hindi na siya novel. They are beginning to take note that it is already known, no? So it is produced by a SARS-CoV-2 infection. So in testing of hypothesis, it refers to a complete and detailed investigation. You search and review of cases. Katulad ng nangyari among the hemodialysis. We have how many? We have 10 dialysis centers here in the city. I asked, we search and review the cases. So some of ang nangyari is that one from, ano ba siya na area? Paranas, I think. Paranas, no? Infected one HD nurse. Pero yung HD nurse, pagtapos yung nag-dialysis doon sa patient, remove her PPE, eat in the dining together with other members of the dialysis center, pati doktor, pati nagkahawa-hawa na. Kasi isa lang yung source, which is the one from Paranas. No? And then do a special investigation. Analyze data collected. What is the nature of exposure? Who are the people na nakasalamuhan nila? And then assemble results of related investigations in the area involved. And then test various hypotheses. Then eventually, sabi nila, as of this time, it is respiratory droplet. Step 5 is conclusion and practical application. You evaluate the results of the investigations and the measures instituted. In the final report, the following should be included. A description of the area involved, its topography and accessibility. Kaya makikita nyo yung magpapadala ako sa email on an example of a report of a dengue situation. Description of the habits, modes of living, and customs of the people that are pertinent to the study should also be described briefly. And make a brief statement of the background of the case, presentation of findings, conclusions, and recommendations. Remind me, Doctora, of the Dengue Morbidity Week report. Okay. In presentation of findings, you have to put geographical orientation of the epidemic, its orientation as to the time and person, the characteristics of the disease, its infectiousness, its mode of spread, the probable reservoir and sources, and the laboratory findings. So I will also report on the COVID-19. I will send it via email also. Okay. The final report should be framed in such a way that it answers a specific question of all the steps in the investigation. Is there actually an epidemic? Yes or no? That's step 1. What are the characteristics of the people affected? Step 2. What seems to have caused it? Step 3. What must be done to prove the actual cause? Step 4. And how can it be stopped and others prevented? Okay. The same thing, ulit-ulit yan in all infectious diseases, but not in non-communicable. Okay. So, what will be the goal in investigation if the cases is continuing? Okay, do you consider COVID-19 as a continuing cases, yes or no? Hello?
Yes.
Yes, Doc.
Yes, Doc.
Yes. Oh.
Yes, Doc.
So, COVID is continuing cases. So, our goal in the City Health Office is to prevent the outbreak of a disease. This car something, I don't know kung ano yun na car. No? Grabe, hawa-hawa sila dun sa office nila. No? Wala na COVID. And grabe yung resources na nasasayang. Pwede na. Okay? So, if that is the case, you assess the extent of the outbreak and you assess the size and the characteristics of population at least. Then, karamihan, may mga super spreader, kaya inaano namin, how many percent are healthcare workers? How many percent are those with D? So, ina-analyze namin yun. Okay. Now, if the outbreak is almost over, for example, last year, 2019, oh my, I entered the City Health Office with 2,000 cases of dengue. No? So, ang ginawa ko, nag-ano kami ng Community Dengue Brigade. I mobilized the almost all the barangay. Nag-ano kami. And I came in August. By November to December, pababa na siya. Okay? So, it's almost over. So, ang gagawin natin, by 2020, so far, we have only about 354 cases of dengue versus 2,000 plus of the same year. So, our goal is to prevent similar outbreaks from occurring in the future. Kaya ngayon, pag may dengue cases na, we do the larval survey and we have to make sure na naglilimpyo talaga, no? 4 o'clock habit. So, if that is the case, if the outbreak is almost over, the balance between control measures versus further investigation depends on how much is already known about the cause, the source, and the mode of transmission of the agent. So kung wala na talaga, but this, even if we think COVID-19 is over, it's not. Di ba? Balik talaga. Ang Ormoc, wala nga sila eh. Sobrang sarado na yung kanilang all of a sudden, they have a lot of cases. Now, this is very important. take a picture of this. Awan ko, nire-record nyo ba to? If source
Yes
and
po,
mode
Doc.
of transmission are already both known, if you know already the source and mode of transmission, the goal is control of epidemic takes precedence over further investigation. Okay? Again, if you know the source and mode of transmission, alam na natin pareho, ito ay the source is, the mode of transmission is respiratory droplets and the source is human. The control of epidemic takes precedence over further investigation. If the causative agent is known, but the source or mode of transmission is unknown initially, we do not know the mode of transmission of COVID, then investigation becomes the priority over the institution of control measures. Gets? So you continually investigate because we do not know. So finally, it was March, January is the first case. March and April sinabi nila, it is through respiratory droplets. It's not even airborne. Kaya biglang nagmura yung mask, no? If the causative agent is unknown, if you do not know what is the agent, if it's virus or bacteria or not, but the source of mode of transmission is known, what you're going to do, you both as simultaneous do an investigation and implement control measures. They are both equal. So gagawa kayo ng timetable. Unknown yung agent, the mode of transmission is known, do an investigation and implement, and both investigation and control measures. Pero dun sa isa, no? Sa isa, you know the agent, but you do not know the transmission, then you investigate. But if both are known, you control the outbreak investigation. Pero ito naman yung last, both unknown ang agent, but known ang transmission, you do both. Okay. Why you have to investigate? Para tayong police, why you have to investigate? Because of in order to prevent and control the disease. And second is to search for additional knowledge about the disease. Study of the natural history of disease. And one example of this is dengue. No? Characterize the population at greatest risk or identifying risk factors. Then they found out, oh, this is a day-biting mosquito. What are the preventive measures? Wear socks and ano. Okay. How come? Bakit mga bata ang ang inaatake? Kasi na-challenge daw yung lamok sa mga malilikot na bata. Okay? Something like that. And then the malaria is a night bite mosquito. So, because of this, we begin, kaya nga maganda after mag-medicine kayo, mag-masters kayo in public health or epidemiology. Another is it provides opportunities for learning and developing skills in logical thinking, decision-making, or epidemiologic know-how. Another is provide opportunities to do formative evaluations of already established prevention and control program. Kaya itong mga prevention and control program is a result of the disease investigation. Okay. So, in field investigation, the various types of etiologic agents and the resultant disease is being investigated. Another is epidemiologic characteristic of outbreaks associated with different etiologic agents or resultant disease or clinical symptoms of resultant disease. So, dahil hindi alam, there was a time nagkaroon ng meningococcemia, no? Meningococcemia, hindi pa sila sure. Yung bata namatay, nag-attend ng wedding, I think it was in Tolosa. So, namatay sa ER ng RTR. Naradyo pa ako na, naradyo yung mayor, naradyo ano. Pinandirihan sila na stigmatize ng duro-duruan yung family. And they want to, gusto nila akong gamitin, nasabihin na it is not a meningococcemia. Because meningococcemia, is a clinical diagnosis. There was you need to have a laboratory exam. Ay, hindi ko masabi. Sabi ko, hindi ko number one, hindi ko nakita yung pasyente. Yan nga that's basically the reason kasi ako yung pipirma ng death certificate. Why? Because it's an ER death, hindi nila maano kung ito ay meningococcemia. So, ang nangyari, habang nakaburol naku, talaga naman, pagsakay pa lang nung hindi isinasakay sa pedicab. Tapos, yung bahay pinalibutan. The same thing that had happened in, stop share for a while. The same thing that had happened in 2003 SARS, I have mentioned to you, hindi alam how is SARS in 2003 affected, So, merong isang call this, there's a OFW from Hong Kong na positive with SARS, no? So, hindi pa namin alam yun. So, yung resident that time is Dr. J. Haddock, no? Parang astronaut, So, ihahatid namin sa Maydolong yung pasyente. Can you imagine? Ang grabe. Naiihi yung pasyente kasi, ang layo ng pupuna, iihi. Hindi nila alam paano pag-transmission kung iihi. Dinala ba naman nila yung pasyente doon sa gitna ng field at doon pinaihi. Kasi hindi alam baka mamaya yung P can cause the transmission because we do not know the transmission during that time. Okay. Question, meron ba dito naging close contact ng COVID-19?
Ako, Doc.
Ako, Doc.
Ang dami. Ba't anong dumami? Anong pakiramdam? Ito. Sino nga? Teka ha.
Bargamento, Doc.
Talaga? Naging close contact ka? Bakit?
ER death, Doc.
Kailan?
Nung nag-duty pa ako sa ER.
Okay. So, anong nangyari? Kwento mo. Anong feeling? What month is that? What month?
September, Doc. Before the class started.
September. So, nag-duty ka pa. What was your feeling then?
Waray mo la, Doc. But
Kasi
normal na lang.
asymptomatic ka.
Nagka-symptoms ako, Doc.
Nagka-symptoms ka, tapos?
Negative ako swab.
Pero, na-isolate ka.
Doc. Isolate ako for 14 days.
Anong mga ini-entertain mo sa utak mo?
Ano, Doc?
Ano yung mga nasa utak mo during that time?
Waray, happy, Doc. I rest for 14 days. No duty.
Libre, may sweldo.
Yes, Doc.
Hindi mo na naisip na baka mamatay ako. Kasi di ba na-infect si Mayor?
Di rin man, Doc.
Tapos may mga na-infect.
Full gear man ako, so confident ako to.
Level 4 PPE. Okay.
Yes, Doc.
Who else are close contacts? Sino pa yung nagsabi na mga close
Ako, Doc,
contacts?
9 times ako na swab.
Share your experience. Why? Saan ka ba nag-duty?
Sa ER EVRMC, Doc. Tapos gin-assign ako critical and resource area level 1 and 2 patients. Yes po. So at first medyo makulba until habagan
Nasanay
parang
ka
normal na lang. Oo, normal na lang. Tapos every time na quarantine ako rin, naghihinubog lakad to, Doc.
Hala ka. Ano ba?
Gina-enjoy ko lang akong life. Pero so far, hatong 9 times, sorry ako mag-positive.
Okay.
May that 2 times, liwat naging symptomatic ako, pero waray, lagi ni-ignore ko la. Tapos, since nagkukulang kasi yung staff.
Can take the example of
Nagkukulang man yung staff dito EVRMC.
So we can now
paggawa sa namon result nga negative kami. Mga after a week lang siguro
Pasok na yun.
namon tapusan namon quarantine period. Sabak na naman. So parang normal na lang siya.
Kaya the guideline has been changing, di ba? For mild of Ngayon, test namin. They found out after 10 days, COVID is no longer infectious. So those are the things that you will appreciate now in public health. Ito na mga epidemiology na to. So kasi Mayor, he is clinically recovered, no? Mild case of COVID-19. Okay. Let's continue. Meron pa bang gustong mag-share ng kanilang mga pinagdaanan? Okay. So, aside from the various type of etiologic agents, epidemiologic characteristics of outbreak associated with the etiologic agents or the disease, or the clinical symptoms of resultant disease. So that's why they said almost all those with moderate to there is always a fever. May fever talaga. So fever is the most common symptoms of those symptomatic COVID-19 patients. Okay? Si Mayor nag-fever, nandiyan na sa kanya lahat. Nag-fever, sumamang pakiramdam, nag-loss of taste, nag-loss of smell. Andun na sa kanya lahat. Pinadrip na lang, gumaling din. Thank you, Lord. Akala ko mag-i-airlift ako, i-airlift namin si Mayor via helicopter. No? So, and then, if you are investigating food poisoning or mga acute gastroenteritis, you have to look into environmental and food sanitation practices. Okay? So merong ikinomplain during that time, and one of the madalas ito sa summer area, usually it's water. The source is water. No, nagkakaroon ng typhoid outbreak, usually water. So sources of exposure which are vulnerable to contamination with that infectious or chemical agent. And then the laboratory tests available to determine the causative agents. So, in summary, the steps in outbreak investigation is you define the problem. Is there really an epidemic? Verification of the case diagnosis, what disease is involved, and what is the etiologic agent. Characterize the cases in terms of who, when, and where. Determine the demographic and other important attributes of the cases. The date of disease, onset of cases, and data on the geographic location. So, mostly, that's why kasama yung sa nature of exposure, yung healthcare facility. Dumalaw ba ito? Nagkaroon ba ito ng exposure sa pagbisita sa hospital? Colleagues, work, community, family. So, tinitignan mo, or workmates. So, tinitignan mo lahat yung nature of exposure so that you can characterize the cases in terms of who, when, and where. And then you can develop hypothesis for the mechanism of the outbreak. Then they found out, ito na ng mga taga-Epidemiologic Bureau, that as of today, December, it is still respiratory droplets. Any question? Okay. Any question? Meron pa bang gusto mag-share ng kanyang COVID-19 experience? Or meron bang nag-positive sa inyo? Wag na lang. Baka ma-RA11332 ako. Matahimik kayo lahat.
Mabakasyon na daw, Doc. Char lang.
Christmas mode na. Merry Christmas! I'm looking forward for a face-to-face so I can see your beauty and I can see how handsome you are and I can see ang aking mga 100, ilan na ito? 96, 103 ba? 103. Ano? So,
Doc,
enjoy Christmas. Ha? Yes?
Dok, kumusta ngayon ang prevalence nato niya na Dr. Cloban?
1 point, actually, ito. Thank you for asking.
Damonot kasi nag-positive yan na AVRMC.
Yeah. Pero kasi ano yun?
Both patients and health workers.
Yeah. Okay. Marami ngayong healthcare workers. Alam mo kung bakit? In the guise of training, in the guise of workshop, pati mga frontliners, DILG, and all these things. In the guise, yun, nagkakainan. Kunyari, workshop yung pala party. Kaya wag na wag kayong ano ha. So,
Ano, Doc? Nagkakainan? O ano ba yun?
in the guise, kunyari, training, yung pala party. Ito, puro HD nurses, positive ng isang puro ako healthcare workers. Oh, the governor of Biliran is positive together with his wife. They are doctors, ha? Our number of confirmed cases is 1,179. Active cases is 97. We have three new cases, but this is December 18. Kagabi, meron na tayong may siyam kagabi. Pero some of them are mga close contacts tsaka mga healthcare workers. And then we have 17 deaths. Okay. The active cases, how many active cases do we have? 97. And out of those 97, 10 doctors, 9 nurses, 4 medtech, 5 frontliner, and the rest are local individual. But most of these local individual are close contacts, no? Even DOH are been battling with COVID-19. Okay? So, based on the recorded lecture, tignan nyo yung what is the agent? Try to research and what is the agent of COVID-19? Viral. What kind of virus, di ba? From what? Coronaviridae. Okay? Tignan nyo, you study it. The hosts are affected. Sabi nila, yung SARS galing sa civet, yung MERS-CoV, civet cat, MERS-CoV galing sa camel. Ito naman galing sa, saan ba ito galing? Pangolini? Okay, mga ganun. And then the transmission is respiratory droplet. So what are you going to do in order to protect yourself? Bida. Bawal lang hindi nakamas, isanitize ang kamay, dumistansya ng 1 metro, at alamin ang tunay na impormasyon. At syempre, during this holiday, I would like to remind you, 100, ilan tayo dito? 102 people will remind another 102, kahit isa lang, ipasa nyo, pakipasa naman yung aking pakipasa naman yun. Meron akong inano doon meron akong pinicturan. Do not mix households. If possible, celebrate outside sa inyong azotea. Remember the 3 W's. Wear a face covering, watch your distance, wash your hands, and stay home. This is not the year to travel, to see loved ones, or attend holiday parties. You may be okay, but it is particularly risky. Risk versus the benefit. So we need to exercise temperance, no? So diri-ani ka mo makikita na yung mga uyab. Okay?
Okay, Doc.
Marami nang may uyab sa inyo,
Ambulati ba, Doc?
O, sino bang available dyan para sa anak ko? Kay Heath.
Pili na, Doc.
Sino? Paki-PM nga sa akin. The table is open. Joke. Okay? So, Merry Christmas.
Doc, question,
And
Doc.
allow me to pray for you over there. See you. Yes.
Ang Christmas
Yes,
wish list, Doc, to, Doc?
Hindi. Oo, pag i-text nyo kung anong Christmas wish list nyo, ipagpe-pray ko. Hindi ko ipoprovide, ipipray ko lang. Baka na-miss nyo, I will pray for your wish.
Ay, sayang.
Dok, saan kami
Bakit?
pwede mamasko
Ano bang
iyo,
wish
Dok?
mo? Ha?
Saan kami pwede mamasko
Kay
iyo?
Lord, yung mga wish nyo, di ba? Ay, nako! Ang dami nyo. Alam nyo, ang gagawin ko sa Pasko, oy, nag-picture na ba? Doktora? Ay, paki-open
Yes
nyo na yung
po.
mga mukha nyo. Please open your face. Gusto ko naka-open yung mga face. Yung mga video. Open your video. Ang gaganda nyo talaga, tsaka ang gwapo. Sino ba mga dyan? Mga wala pang boyfriend dyan para sa anak mo? Baka next year, first year na siya. Ay, hindi pa rin nag-open ng mga Are they around? Baka mamaya, you need to when you take the picture, kailangan present talaga. Hindi ID. Ay, hindi kayo gumagalaw, mga ID lang naman yung nandyan. Dapat video. Open your video. Zoe, Joanna, Dr. Balderian, Sudario, Daa. Hindi man kayo nag-move, mga ID lang yan. Sige daw, gumalaw-galaw kayo o mga ID lang yan. Show your video. Yan. Merry Christmas. Dapat pala may tayo. Kleng, kleng, kleng. Para wish a Merry Christmas. O, tignan mo, nasan ka, doktora? Sa labas ng bahay mo? Okay, I saw Chelsea. O, konti pa lang nakikita ko ng mga video. Oh, Dr. D. I saw Dr. D. There, I saw. Dr. T. Yung iba nga siguro hindi naka-uniform.
Yes po, Doc.
Talaga,
Sorry po.
Doc.
Yes po, Doc.
Yes, Doc.
Ako Doc, kasi ang hina ng wifi sa bahay. So, makita ko.
Damo po ng stable internet, Doc.
Ganun
Kinauran.
ba? O, sige. Okay. Sana. Ayun, I saw Dr. Okanyan. Estigoy, I saw all your faces. Okay. Merry Christmas. Ayun, no? Sige. Let me pray for you for Christmas, and you can message me your Christmas wish. So I can pray, ha? So I can pray. Dr. For clearance, ha? Clear ko lang para lang mapag-pray. Let's pray. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Father, we thank you for this beautiful afternoon that you have given to us. I pray, Lord, that you will guide us, Lord, as we approach 2021. I pray, Father, that we will know the spirit of Christmas. It's all about love, you giving yourself to each and every one of us. Father, may we realize that we have to appreciate things because you are protecting all of us, that we are not affected by COVID-19. There are threats. We pray, Lord, for those who are infected with COVID-19, that their disease will not progress. And Father, we pray that them well in their family. Lord, oh, in Jesus we pray. Amen. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas po, Doc.
Merry
Christmas,
Doc.
Christmas, Doc.
Merry Christmas,
Christmas, Doc. Mas, Doc.
Merry Christmas, Doc.
Merry Christmas,
Merry
Doc.
Merry Christmas po,
Merry
Doc.
Christmas po, Doc.
Merry Christmas, Doc.
Merry Christmas, Doc!
Merry Christmas po.
Air Jordans lang po, Doc.